This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardenes, to use this as educational material. The objective of the video explain the effects of globalization in governments, explore how globalization has shaped and the rules and responsibilities of governments worldwide, especially in the context of COVID-19 crisis. Good day. My topic is all about global governance integration of COVID-19. But first, let us know what is global governance. Global governance refers to the way in which international affairs are managed and regulated by various actors, including governments, international organizations, and non-state entities, to address global challenges and promote cooperation. It involves the creation and enforcement of rules, norms, and agreements on issues such as trade, climate change, human rights, and security. Global governance aims to facilitate international cooperation and stability in an increasingly interconnected world. We tackle about global governance integration of COVID-19. This refers to the collaborative efforts of countries and international organizations to coordinate them and manage the response to the COVID-19 pandemic on global scale. This involves various aspects, or examples are information sharing. Countries and organizations exchange data and information. Next example is policy coordination. Governments work together to align policies, travel restrictions, and quarantine. Another example is vaccine distribution. Global initiatives like COVAX aim to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines worldwide. And the last example is research collaboration. Scientists and researchers from different countries collaborate on vaccine development. And those are my topics. Thank you.
Good day everyone. I'm going to tackle about the effects of globalization on governments. Globalization, an intricate web of interconnectedness that transcends borders and spans continents, has become an undeniable force shaping the contemporary world. It's a multifaceted phenomenon driven by the advancements in technology, communication, and trade, which has brought countries closer than ever before. Governments, traditionally the sovereign authorities within their territories, are experiencing profound transformation as they navigate the turbulent waters of globalization. This article explores the effects of globalization on governments, shedding light on how these seismic shifts influences political, economic, and social landscapes. Economic interdependence. Globalization has led to increased economic interdependence among nations. Governments now have to consider the global repercussions for their economic policies. Example of this is the 2008 global financial crisis, which started in the United States, quickly spread to other countries, highlighting how interconnected and interdependent economies had become. Governments worldwide had to coordinate their responses to mitigate the crisis. Trade liberalization. The removal of trade barriers and the promotion of free trade agreements have expanded the international trade. Governments must balance the benefits of trade with the interests of domestic industries and workers. For example, the North American Free Trade Agreement is later replaced by the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, significantly impacted trade policies and economic regulations for the governments of United States, Canada, and Mexico. Global government and international organizations. Governments increasingly participate in international organizations and agreements which can constrain their sovereignty to some extent. For example, the European Union member countries delegate certain powers for the EU. such as trade policy and competition regulation, demonstrating how globalization can lead to a transfer of authority from national governments to supranational bodies. Technological advancements. Globalization is closely tied to technological advancements, which have revolutionized communication and data flow. Governments must adapt to new challenges such as cybersecurity and digital piracy. For example, the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation is a response to a global digital environment, setting strict rules for data protection and privacy that affect not only EU member states but also companies worldwide that handle EU citizens' data. Another is migration and cultural diversity. Increased migration due to globalization has led to greater cultural diversity within countries. Government must manage the social, political, and economical implications of multiculturalism. For example, Canada's immigration policies are often cited as a successful model for managing cultural diversity. The Canadian government actively encourages immigration and implemented policies to integrate newcomers into Canadian society while preserving their cultural identities. Environmental challenges. Globalization has amplified environmental challenges such as climate change and resource depletion. Governments are under pressure to cooperate internationally and develop policies to address these global issues. For example, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change is an international policy in which governments commit to taking action to mitigate global warming. It exemplifies how globalization has pushed governments to work together on environmental issues. Nationalism and populism. In response to some of the challenges posed by globalization, some governments has embraced nationalist and populist movements, emphasizing protectionism and asserting national sovereignty. For example, the Brexit vote in the United Kingdom, leading to its departure from the EU, reflects a nationalist response to globalization, where a significant portion of the population wanted to regain control over their country's laws, borders, and trade policies.
Good day, everyone. Today, we embark on a journey to identify the intuitions that govern international relations. These intuitions, often unspoken but deeply influential, underpin how nations interact on the global stage. Moreover, they are inextricably linked to the ongoing process of globalization, where interconnectedness reshapes our world. And now, first, I'm gonna tell you how this topic connects to globalization. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected through globalization, these intuitions take on new significance. They guide nations in navigating the complex web of international relations. In our globalized reality, these intuitions influence decisions related to diplomacy, foreign policy, and international cooperation. And now, let's delve into some of these critical intuitions. The first intuition is sovereignty. Sovereignty is a foundational intuition in international relations. It asserts that states have inherent right to govern themselves without external interference. In a globalized world, these intuitions remains essential as nations balance their domestic autonomy with international cooperation. And the second one is balance of power. The intuition of balance of power emphasizes that nations often act to maintain or shift power dynamics in their favor. In a globalized context, these intuitions plays role in forming alliances, engaging in conflicts, and influencing diplomatic strategies. And the third one is national interest. National interest drives foreign policy decisions. It encompasses economic security and ideological factors. In a globalized world, understanding and prioritizing national interests become more complex due to interdependence. Another one is international law. The intuition of adhering to international laws and treaties promotes order and stability. In a globalized society, violations of international law can have a far-reaching consequence, impacting relationships between nations. The other one is norms and ethics. And ethical and normative considerations influence foreign policy, decisions, including human rights and environmental protection. In a globalized world, these intuitions are subject to international scrutiny and can lead to cooperation or disputes. The other one is, for me, conclusion for this topic is these intuitions that govern international relations provides a lens through which we can analyze the actions and behaviors of the nations. They are deeply interwoven with the dynamics of globalization, influencing how nations navigate the opportunities and challenges of an interconnected world. As we continue to witness the evolution of international relations, understanding these intuitions become increasingly crucial. That's all from my topic. Thank you.
Next, differentiate internationalism and globalism. Internationalism is a movement which advocates a greater economic and political cooperation among nations for the theoretical benefit of all. It teaches that the people of all nations have more in common than they do differences, and thus that nations should treat each other as equals. Supporters of internationalism are known as internationalists and generally believe that humans should unite across national, political, cultural, racial, or class boundaries to advance their common interests, or that governments should cooperate because their mutual long-term interests are of greater importance than their short-term disputes. Example, United Nations mission, the maintenance of international peace and security to prevent conflict. So helping parties in conflict make peace, peacekeeping and creating the conditions to allow peace to hold and flourish. So internationalism is a political ideology that emphasizes cooperation and diplomacy between nations, often through international organizations like the United Nations, to address global issues and promote peace. Globalism. Globalism is an ideology based on the belief that people, goods, and information ought to be able to cross national borders unfettered. It seeks to describe and explain nothing more than a world which is characterized by networks of connections that span multi-continental distances. Example, economic globalism involves long-distance flows of goods, services, and capital and the information and perceptions that accompany market exchange. Then social and cultural globalism involves movements of ideas, information, images, and people who of course carry ideas and information with them. So globalism encompasses a broader set of ideas that advocate for increased interconnectedness and interdependence among countries in various aspects, including economics, culture, and governance aiming for a more integrated and borderless world. So overall, the difference between internationalism and globalism is that internationalism is political, economic, and cultural cooperation between nations, while globalism is an ideology based on the belief that people, goods, and information ought to be able to cross national borders unfettered.
Good day everyone, I am Cadet Obial and I am going to discuss the roles and function of United Nations. So the United Nation was established in 1945, which aimed to uphold international peace, foster friendly relations, and promote social progress, improve living standards and human rights. So the next slide shows the identified rules of the United Nations. So the first rule is Rule 1, maintaining international peace and security. So the United Nations effort in conflict prevention include diplomatic negotiation, early warning system, peacekeeping, humanitarian aid, disarmament, rule of law promotion, development initiatives, human rights advocacy, and capacity building, aim for sustainable global peace and security. Rule 2. Developing friendly relations among nations. So, the United Nations has deployed peacekeeping mission in various conflict zones, such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo to mediate disputes, protect civilians, and promote stability. These teams aim to calm down and promote peace in area with significant fighting and agreements. So, Rule 3, promoting social progress. So, the United Nations promotes social progress by addressing a wide range of interconnect, interconnected issues that impact people's lives. Its effort encompass economic development, social inclusion, gender equality, education, healthcare, and more to create a more equitable and prosperous world for everyone. Rule 4. Better living standards. So, the United Nations is actively working to improve global living standards through various initiatives and programs focusing on poverty reduction, healthcare access, education, clean water, gender equality, and more. So, rule number 5, human rights. The United Nations commitment to human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted in 1948. This declaration outlines fundamental human rights and freedom to which all people are entitled, regardless of their race, religion, and nationality or other characteristic. So, in summary, the United Nations was established to maintain international peace, foster friendly relations among nations, promote social progress, improve living standards, and protect human rights worldwide through various diplomatic, humanitarian, and development initiatives.
Good day, everyone. I am Johnny Prime G. Mabulay, and today my topic is about identify the challenges of global governance in the 21st century. So, what are the challenges of global governance in the 21st century? So, the widening gulf between rich and poor, the continuing rapid growth in population, and the persistence of environmental destruction are just some of the global problems. So, there are many issues that face the global community in the 21st century. Some, like gays, marriage, and other civil rights issues, so can change the way we view some of the basic relationship in modern society. And also with the intensification of globalization dynamics, rise to the stability of the international system have grown to the extent that formerly localized threats are no longer locally containable. Ethnic conflicts, infectious disease, food insecurity, and other pressing threats are increasingly threatening global security and stability, prompting doubts about the ability of the current global governance order to respond the challenges plaguing the 21st century.
Good day everyone, I'm Mukanya Alvin James D. I'm here to explain the relevance of the state amid globalization. Globalization also creates a sense of interdependence among nations, which could create an imbalance of power among nations of different economic strengths. The role of the nation state in a global world is largely a regulatory one as the shape factor in global interdependence. The state remains relevant amid globalization for several reasons. Governance and regulation. States play a crucial role in regulating and governing economic activities, trade, and commerce within their borders. They set rules, standards, and laws that ensure fair competition, protect consumers, and maintain social and environmental standards. National security. States are responsible for safeguarding their citizens and territories. In a globalized world, they continue to maintain armed forces, intelligence agencies, and diplomatic relations to protect national interests and respond to security threats. Trade and international regulations. States engage in international diplomacy, negotiate trade agreements, and participate in international organizations like the United Nations. They represent their citizens' interests of the global stage and foster international cooperation. Monetary policy. Many states have control over their own currencies and monetary policies. Central banks manage currency exchange rates, interest rates, and money supply to establish their economies and respond to global economic shifts. Infrastructure and services. States provide essential infrastructure and public services such as healthcare, education, and transportation. These services are vital for maintaining societal well-being and competitiveness in a globalized economy. Legal framework. The state's legal system enforces contracts, resolves disputes, and upholds property rights, which are essential for business transactions and economic stability in a globalized world. Social welfare. States often have social welfare programs that support citizens during economic downturns or hardships, contributing social stability in a globalized economy. While globalization has led to increased interconnectivity and the rise of non-state actors like multinational corporations and international organizations, states remain central in shaping the rules and conditions of global interactions. States remain central in shaping the rules and conditions of global interactions, ensuring the well-being of their citizens and maintaining order in the international system.
So, good day everyone. My name is Bayadog Mark Josh, and I'm here to report about the continued importance of nation states in the context of increasing globalization. So, firstly is we define globalization. So, a brief definition of globalization is it is the process of increasing interconnectedness and interdependence among country and people. So, next slide is the continued importance of nation state. So, the importance of nation states in the context of increasing globalization is cannot be overstated. So here are the several reasons why nation states remain crucial in our globalized world. So next slide is political sovereignty. So nation states are the fundamental units of political organizations. They possess sovereignty, which means they have the authority to govern their own affairs without interference from external entities. In a globalized world, maintaining political sovereignty allows countries to make decisions that reflect their unique interests, values, and priority. So, second is national identity. So, it serves as vehicles preserving and promoting national identity, culture, language, and traditions. So, they play a vital or pivotal role in the preserve a sense belonging and cohesion among their citizens. So, third is territorial integrity. So, nation states are responsible for defending their territory integrity. So, in an increasingly interconnected world, so these roles remain essential for maintaining stability and preventing conflicts. So, the Westphalian system of state sovereignty still largely govern internal relations. So, territorial integrity means that state border should not be violated by military force, aggressions, or any means. So, in summary, nation states continue to be vital actors in the context of increasing globalization. They provide the necessary framework for political, economic, and social organizations while preserving national identity and sovereignty. While globalization has led to greater interdependence, nation states remain hidden. So, the nation state is a complex and involving institution